Monday, October 22nd. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, a fresh Windows Linux OS X.
Let's do this.
Over the weekend, we all went to the Renaissance Fair. Well, everyone but Scott.
I stayed home and went,
Yeah, though, I like Ren fairs. I'll admit, Scott, that a Renaissance Fair might not be 100% up your alley.
Yeah.
But at the same time, something kind of awesome. Well, it was an awesome time for all of us in general. And we hung out at Jess's house, which was like super cool. And we did all this stuff and ate food. But we're at the Renaissance Fair, and I had my turkey leg, and I had my soup in a bread bowl, and my other soup in a bread bowl, and my dumplings. And this Renaissance Fair, they have such an awesome racket going. Like, the amount of money they made was probably staggering.
The amount of money I saved then must be equally staggering.
Well, the reason is very simply that they have it set up so that if you, say, are at the Renaissance Fair and you like wine, a lot of people go to these things like wine. There's wine and beer everywhere to drink. There's a winery set up, a permanent one, at the entrance/exit to the Renaissance Fair. And they ran a 25% off if you buy a case of 12 or more.
Uh-huh.
And they had a limited selection of very specific wines and tasting, just open tasting. So people are coming out of the Renaissance Fair in a rush at the end of the day, after the big joust and everything, and they're all kind of intoxicated anyway. And they come upon free wine tasting. And then they see a discount. And people were buying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars of wine. All of them, including me. Thing is, the wine was actually really well priced. And while their reds were kind of really generic, all their special wines were actually pretty damn good and really cheap.
You probably could have saved some money if you went to the state discount liquor store or something.
Yeah, it depends. I buy my liquor at places like that.
Whatever.
The wine, I tasted the wine. It was good. I got a bunch of spice wine.
You were already intoxicated.
I wasn't actually because
they could get you drunk and then they'll give you freaking hobo wine and you'd be like, wow, hobo is awesome.
That's the other thing. A lot of people don't know how to taste wine. When I was tasting the wine, I was spitting it out because if you actually want to taste wine, if you don't spit it out, you're going to get drunk real quick. And then you're not going to be able to tell what tastes good or not. You're going to come home with a bunch of hobo wine.
When I was reading that article about wine counterfeiting.
Did you read the whole thing?
I read most of it.
I skimmed it, but yeah, it was pretty interesting.
But there was a guy in there who would get these stupidly expensive wines, and when he would taste them with a bunch of other people. And he would make sure everyone swallows it because he's like, I didn't spend freaking $1,000 for you to spit it out,
See, for me, that's different.
But then people would bring spittoons and hide them in their laps because the amount of stuff that they were gonna have to drink, they're like, oh my god, I don't want to get plastered and fall over like a doofus.
Yep.
But meanwhile, the guy who was doing it's he just drinks it all. He's like, whatever. You could probably drink 5 bottles. And be fine. There
was a really good Master Keaton about that.
A guy who could just drink everyone under the table.
Well, no, there's this ancient bottle of wine, the most fat,
Oh, so Master Keaton, it's insured by Mr. Keaton.
In the end, Master Keaton wants to taste it, and he's so nervous. He's like, I don't know if I can deal with this. I'm afraid to drink it. No. But so I didn't actually get drunk just because, but our friend Peter Olson bought something awesome. Something that it is...
An inflatable flail?
No. Though he found an emo Viking helmet. It was a Viking helmet, but the horns pointed down.
All right.
But he didn't buy that. What he bought was a real awesome, drinking horn.
The drinking horn.
A drinking horn, a real one.
See, I want to get one of those the drink, the wine.
They had those. They also had the wooden mugs and the leather mugs that you can just strap to your belt. And
I don't need the mugs. I like the bags. You just kind of squeeze it into your mouth.
A wine skin?
Yeah, skin. That's what it's called.
But he bought it. And then he went to a beer stand. He was like, could you rinse this out and fill it with beer for me? And they were like, that's enough beer to kill a man. I'm going to give you 1 glass of beer poured into it. The thing will hold a whole bottle of wine, even though it doesn't look that big.
Wow.
It's quite impressive. So we're at the joust, and Pete is drinking from his drinking horn. And we didn't pay attention. We just showed up at the joust. First to go to the human chest, right? Which is Sir Walter Raleigh versus some evil dude.
Yeah.
No, so whatever. It's like a cheesy plot. They're fighting, and they're going to fight over, the governorship of Ireland and whatever, and then there's some evil going on. And then we get to the joust. We're like, all right, this is going to be cheesy and awesome, whatever. And we didn't realize that we sat on the evil side. You know, it's like one part of the crowd is for the good guys, like on the Queen side, Queen Elizabeth, and everyone else is on the bad guys' side. So we're sitting there and we don't know what to expect. And then when the cultists came out,
all right,
Pete and I were like, oh man, come! We got more into it because I didn't expect cultists and sacrifice and like evil plots to summon a demon knight to kill everyone and take the throne. And then, you know, when the cultists come out, right, they start playing all this music. And I think to myself, wait a minute.
Are they playing Slayer?
Wait a minute. This sounds familiar, these lyrics. And I turn to Pete, and he turns to me. Archangel, Dark Angel, lend me thy light. Not here.
Not here, yeah.
And then they played some other Cradle of Filth song, and they played some... It was unexpectedly awesome. And in the end, the good guys won. And
Boo.
But the thing is, it played out really well. I expected, cheesy whatever. When the time came to pull the evil, the cultists just fucking rush everyone with swords and start killing them. Like, straight up. So then we leave.
They died honorably.
So then we leave, and we're on the, we get our wine, and we're on the road home, and we stop at a gas station to get some Red Bulls and pee and all that, go to the pee station and all that business.
The pee station?
And
what did that pee station smell like?
Smelled like pee. So from a distance, I see one of the cultists from the Ren Fair going in. Someone dressed in like all these black robes. And I'm like, oh man, it's one of the cultists. Once we got in, it turned out that it was actually unrelated to the Renaissance Fair. It was just a Muslim woman in a burqa. And I'm so glad I didn't go and be like, man, you were awesome. I was totally on your side right up to the end. Yeah. But the Renaissance Fair was worth it. That's all I got.
No, that's not all you got.
Well, it's not all I got?
No, it's not.
What else do I got?
Something that's actually related to Monday. I guess somewhat.
Oh, I got a new job?
Yeah.
I got a new job.
Yay. Now you have to stop complaining about your shit job.
Honestly, I don't think you're ever going to hear me talk about my job again because my new job is like more awesome than I could have expected.
If you ever complain about it, you won't hear the end of it from me.
No, you won't. You won't hear the end of it from me because I'm excited about this job. For the first time since I left college, I'm excited about a job. Think about that. I'm excited about work, about a 7 to 4 job.
Great job.
Yeah, I'm all up in this business. I'm up in this grill. This job is my parliament.
So, news.
News?
We missed 2 weeks of news here, so there's a lot of stuff to catch up on, but that means since I'm only picking one, I gotta pick the big one.
Whoa, what's the big one?
Obviously, it's all about some monkeys of a variety, the Gibbon variety, I think.
Gutsy Gibbon.
It's out.
Yeah, and we got a lot to say, surprisingly, not because of Gutsy Gibbon. Gutsy Gibbon's fine, but people are really excited about Gutsy Gibbon. But for reasons that aren't quite what they perhaps should be excited about.
Yeah, I mean, basically what's going on here, right, is the word on the tech news beat is that, people are disappointed with Vista, so everyone's going to the Gutsy Gibbons. I mean,
you go to any blog that talks about Linux distros, and they're always like, Gutsy Gibbon is like a leap forward for Linux. This is like Linux on the desktop all the way. Everything's great. This is like the second coming of Jesus.
There are all these tech journalists who are like, I tried Linux and Ubuntu many, many times, but this is finally the one that's the business. Oh man, all the other ones sucked, but this is the first one that's the real deal.
So, Scott, Gutsy Gibbon obviously is the second or third coming of Jesus Christ, our Savior. And so, what did they... do they have like a new kernel memory management thing that just blows us away?
It does have the 2622 kernel instead of the 2620 kernel.
Thank fucking God!
Of Feisty Fawn, which is a vast improvement, especially if you are using a laptop or something.
A laptop or a lot of new 8-bit motherboards.
Well, I guess.
From what I read, it looks like my motherboard will actually work with this kernel.
Maybe.
I can turn my turning APIC off back on.
Secondly, it has a new thing for printing. So now, like, if you've ever not been able to get your printer to work in Linux, your troubles are over. Like, I know a lot of people, they couldn't get their printer to work in Windows either, just because setting up a printer is kind of, hard for most people.
Well, I think the reason for that...
If you ever had trouble setting up a printer, I think it's easier to set up a printer in Gutsy Gibbon than in any other OS ever.
Well, the thing with Windows printers, because I can get this out of the way real quick, is that...
They suck?
Well, no, it's the context... in setting up a printer in Windows can fool you in one specific time. If you have a printer that has its own NIC or like its own IP address out there, or it's a server that serves a printer as though it's just a standalone printer, like directly printing to an IP address, you think, yeah, network printer. I want to set up a network printer. No, you have to set up a local printer, and then under local printer, choose TCP/IP local port. Now,
I never seen that.
Yeah, if you want to print directly to an IP printer, you have to set up a local IP port. If you try
I used to just type in a URL, like using like IPP cups, I would type in
because that's different. That's not direct IP printing. That's That's like moderated printing through. It might be an embedded server, but that's different from embedded direct printing.
Whatever.
Yeah, but a lot of printers do that. A lot of people have trouble with that.
You know what? If you have a network printer and you're on the network and the network printer is working and you're using Ubuntu, you can click search for network printers and they'll all show up.
Yeah, now I'm glad that's a problem that should have been solved like 10 years ago in computing. And
all right, let's see what else is different.
But are there any like great leaps forward? Why is this the best Linux to ever come out?
I don't know. What else did they change? I mean, it's a little easier to configure your X. Like, this is the first time where I didn't have to actually edit the xorg.conf to make stuff work, even with 2 monitors or using my laptop with its strange resolution. So that's a bonus. However, because I'm using NVIDIA, I had to do some weird combination of using the new Ubuntu graphical configuration thing and the NVIDIA graphical configuration thing until I got it just right with my 2-monitor deal.
Yeah.
But if you ignore the NVIDIA stuff, you can just do it straight with the Ubuntu, and it should work, I guess, okay.
So what's the revolution of Gutsy Gibbon?
What else did they change? Oh, sound support is worse than it was in the previous Ubuntu.
But it was worse in Feisty than it was at what?
Basically, they got the same sound configuration dialog, right?
Oh, the one that doesn't do anything?
Right, so I changed in Feisty, I was able to change all the options to say, hey, use the optical output of my sound card. I did the same thing in Gutsy. Didn't work. I had to manually configure using the ALSA configuration file.
And you might all remember my Feisty problems trying to get anything to work. That's why I'm using Jack right now. But that's partly Resound's fault.
The Resound package for Ubuntu still crashes when you try to record and you still need to use Jack.
Granted, I don't mind using Jack because Jack is actually
a little better technically somewhere.
It's more robust, it seems, in that I have never had a problem with any process causing my audio to skip.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right, obviously. The one change is they added the Compiz fusions by default.
So, now what does this say about Linux journalism in that the Linux that gets, like, more attention than any Linux ever, like, this is Linux, this is the best thing ever, it is now perfect, is that they added some eye candy.
Yeah, basically, if you install Gutsy Gibbon, there's 3 options. No eye candy, normal eye candy, and super eye candy. And no, regular eye candy is the default as long as you have some sort of 3D card that Linux is supports. So like I have a Intel card on my laptop. It just set normal by default and it worked. I had an NVIDIA on my desktop, which means after I installed the NVIDIA driver, which is like 1 click, it starts working. And if you're using an ATI card, I guess it's also 1 click to set up the ATI stuff now. At least I think so. I don't know. Actually, no.
Yeah, I haven't even really used Gutsy yet. So.
Yeah. But the basic eye candy is just, drop shadows, little window animations, changing desktops makes a little slidey effect.
See, I like stuff like that. It doesn't get in your way, as long as it actually doesn't get in your way.
My personal philosophy on eye candy is I want to make my computer easier to use and I want to use my computer more efficiently. So if it helps me use the computer more efficiently, I want it. If it looks good and doesn't hurt my ability to use my computer efficiently, sure, why not? But if it in any way makes it harder for me to use the computer, I don't care how pretty it is, get it out of my face. Like those wobbly windows, fuck them. They're just fucking me around. It's bullshit. So yeah, basically the only real substantial change other than printing and stuff to this latest Ubuntu is eye candy. And suddenly, everyone, after all these years of having these true rightful complaints about, Linux, they'd be like, oh, I can't use Linux, it doesn't support this. Oh, I can't use Linux, it doesn't support that. For years and years and years, people had these legitimate complaints about why they weren't using Linux, right? And most of those complaints are still perfectly valid. But suddenly they forgot all those because now there's eye candy and they're going, woo, Linux, second coming. And I'm like, wow, journalistic integrity right out the window. And I'm the Linux user who's been using it when it was shitty and still is shitty.
I just find it kind of hilarious, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't get it, but It shows that people all they really care about is eye candy, hence the Apple fanboyism, you know? Oh, it's so much easier. No, it's just eye candy messing with your psychology, or I don't know what the fuck it is, but they've proved to me once and for all, I now firmly believe that most people really just care about eye candy, and technology is just an excuse they use.
So, in other big news, I feel like I'm almost obligated to talk about this, but Radiohead, you might have heard of them. They're a somewhat popular band, I hear.
I know they're a rock band. Weren't they in that? Were they the band from the Scott Tenorman Must Die, or was that another band?
You know, I don't remember.
I think it might have been.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so now I kind of little know more about who they are.
Radiohead, if you aren't aware, released their new album titled In Rainbows online by themselves, and they had their servers up and everything, and they basically released it with the idea that you can pay however much you want to pay.
Can I pay $0?
Yes, you can. If you want to pay $0, you can pay $0. And
right.
we're just going to put it up there, no DRM, no nothing. Just you're going to download straight up unencumbered files to do with as you please.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people went in a lot of directions about, everyone's just gonna hit 0, or one guy's gonna get it for 0, and then it's just gonna be all over the torrent, so they're not gonna make any money, or blah, 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 blah. And they didn't really say, they didn't want to release how many sales they actually get, or what people are actually saying. But there's a lot of rumors about what the information was, and guesses seem to be that 1 to 2/3 of people paid 0. But there's an article here stating that it is believed that they made between $6 and $10 million.
It's possible. I mean, I for every person that's, most people are just going to pay 0 or like $1 or something like that, right? It's like a long tail. But there's very few people who are like, I love Radiohead, here's $1,000, because it's like finally a chance. I mean, because think about it. Back in the day, remember people would download MP3s and peer-to-peer networks and then send checks to the artist to say, I don't want to buy your CDs because I hate the record company, but here's some money for you, the artist, because I know if I buy the CD, you're going to get 5 cents, but here's $10. And those checks all came back because we can't accept your money. Now, here's a chance for people to actually give money directly to the artist and no one else. So some people are going to give a lot of money, and most people are just going to get their MP3s.
Plus, I can think of bands where I'd give them a few bucks.
Yeah, I'll give,
Mechanized Supremacy?
I'd give them some bucks.
Yeah. But, we don't really know exactly how successful this was from a monetary perspective. What we do know is that the album was downloaded crazily. Absolutely batshit crazily by a lot of people.
That's a good PR move right there.
And, see, I think that's it. In the next couple years, I think we're going to see a few more, every now and then some big name is going to buck the trend and say, all right, we're doing it the way you geeks want it. Let's see what happens. And
I mean, think about it this way, right? Radiohead, not even on my radar. I didn't even know who they were. Just barely anything, right? Now, they did this. Odds are, I'm going to at least listen to their music once to be like, oh, that's who they are. Because they did this, they got someone to listen to their music. Huge. That's huge.
Now, plus, think of this from another perspective. Say you're a little struggling indie band, and you just put your music up in the same kind of deal. Like, hey, download our MP3s.
Not going to get as much play as Radiohead.
But while you're not, I almost feel like the future of music is going to be in this long tail. And at that point, getting yourself known, especially if you don't have to pay anyone to get you known, you don't have to pay a marketing machine to take your face and put it on billboards.
No, but what Radiohead did have to do is, first of all, they had the being known by getting their face on billboards.
Yeah.
Which helped a lot. And second of all, this latest move, while they didn't, I guess, at least as far as I know, it wasn't advertised on television or anywhere like billboards and such. It was put in newspapers and websites and blogs of everyone going, oh man, Radiohead is giving away their music for free.
Well,
If you're just a musician, no one's going to talk about it. Barely
well, the thing
any,
is,
so
some people will, because this is this is the big scale. Make the little microcosm, the little tiny analogy example. The little indie band will do it and get talked about on the little indie band blogs. And it'll be like this tiny little storm of publicity within the realm of that kind of music.
Until this becomes a commonplace practice, which it actually is among many indie bands, so no one will talk about it because it's like saying someone came out with a new CD. Oh my God. Well, no, not oh my God. It happens every day.
See, you kind of jumped my point. That's what I was getting to. This, in my opinion, is not a revolution in music distribution or bands making money or art, anything like that. I think that this is just one stepping stone on the way to a future that is basically going to be the long tail of a whole bunch of bands competing in the effectively free market space. and ones that are good eventually filtering to the top purely on their own merit and making money from live shows and merchandise.
Yeah. I mean, even the really big people today, I mean, I heard some numbers from places that, like, Madonna made, like, less than $20 million on some albums.
Oh,
but
no.
She made, like, $600 million from concerts and stuff.
But remember, I mean, there's different kinds of artists. Madonna definitely does those, like, stadium concerts. 1 million people come and you do a whole bunch in a row.
And those are my favorite kinds, so I would not mind. Not Madonna specifically, but stadium awesomeness.
I don't know. My favorite kind of concert is the smaller, more intense.
No, I meant the music that is for the stadium places.
I don't know. I really like the up close and personal, like, little scummy jazz band somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think the important thing about this is that this Radiohead thing, even if it's not, like, the end all, like, this is not how music is going to be distributed, and eventually this sort of thing is just going to be commonplace. It'll just be a
Eventually,
stepping stone.
music, you will just think in your mind, and then music will appear. Oh, wait, you can do that already.
But what I think is that this is going to be a turning point in that the media, the mainstream media, not the geeky media, but the real world, like, today in Iraq, a bomb blew up.
Old school crap media.
You know, like the guy
The
on
dying
CNN.
media.
I think in those people are talking about this as, wow, this band bucked the trend and did something weird, and they're gonna make a bunch of money, and this is gonna turn the record industry up on its head. And I think financial types might see this, and it'll put that seed into their heads of, maybe we should invest in alternative distribution of music or something.
Yeah, whatever.
I feel like if nothing else, this put into the consciousness of the previous few generations that maybe the record industry is not going to be the way it's always been in the future.
I think the interesting story that I saw people talking about was how, even though they're doing this, a lot of people are still downloading the stuff from peer-to-peer networks.
Well, I think the reason for that is that peer-to-peer is still easier.
Well, it's not that it's just easier. I think the thing is that I realized recently is that a whole generation or two of people, like from us on down, have grown up, and the way that they know to get music is peer-to-peer networks. That's what they learned. It's like, how do you get music? A peer-to-peer network. You know, use LimeWire, use Nutella, use Kazaa, use whatever. That's the way they know to get music. So if there's ever a time to get music, they don't even know. Go to a website, use your iTunes Wi-Fi, whatever. They know. Go to a peer-to-peer network and get it. That's how they know, and that's what they're going to do and continue doing until they learn something else or someone changes their learning, which is incredibly difficult because you can see, you know, people like my parents, they grew up learning how to get music was to buy an album, and even though they know, I tell them, just freaking don't do that. You're wasting your money. They do it anyway because that's what they learned, and it's incredibly
Now,
difficult.
are you sure they don't do it because they don't want to be a pirate or steal?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because they just don't unlearn. People don't unlearn. They don't learn new things. They stick with what they know.
See, I don't know. I could definitely see people making the argument that they don't do that sort of thing just because they don't want to be a sub-media pirate. Or they feel like they're stealing and they don't want to do it.
But they don't even go and buy, like, they could save money by just buying non-DRM tracks on, like, iTunes, which is non-DRM tracks now.
Not many.
No, every track on iTunes
it was
is
every
now
track?
non-DRM for $1. Yes, they changed it recently.
Huh, but is it MP3 or is it still some other format?
Well, it's AACs, but you have you're listening on an iPod and you could burn a CD.
Yeah,
so what's the difference?
not everyone has an iPod.
Yeah, but you could burn a CD and you could convert, so it doesn't
I'm just
matter.
never happy because $1 is just way too much.
$1 is just way too much for me as well, but it's still cheaper than freaking CD at the store.
Yeah.
But anyway, yes, that's the point. People don't unlearn.
Things of the day. So Emily showed me this the other day, and partly because we've been on the other side of this for a long time, this is a kind of someone's blog post on 8 ways to drive a graphic designer mad. And it's kind of really...
Hey, can you make something for me? Something cool looking.
When you send a graphic designer a document, make sure it's made with a program from the Microsoft Office suite. If you have to send pictures, you'll have more success in driving them mad if instead of sending a JPEG or a raw camera file, you embed the pictures inside of a Microsoft Office document like Word or PowerPoint. Don't forget to lower the resolution to 72 dpi. When you send them a higher version later, make sure the size is at least 50% smaller.
Awesome.
Because honestly, I've had that happen to me a lot, where someone will have to send me a screenshot or a picture, and they just put it in a Word document and then send me the Word document. And on the other token, we have been on the side where we need art. So we talk to an artist and we say, make us art. And they say, what do you want? And I say, I don't know. Make it arty. Make it look like something good.
Yeah, I mean, this is sort of the thing where it's like I encounter this problem with people when I'm trying to like help them with their computers, right? And I recognize that they can't tell me what the problem is. They're incapable of doing it because they lack the vocabulary. They lack the understanding of the computer. They can't tell me what's wrong with it. I need to pretty much go and investigate it myself. This is why you don't call a mechanic and say, yeah, my car is making a chugga 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 noise. You freaking take it to the mechanic and let him look at it because that's the only way he's going to be able to figure anything out. So with a graphic designer, it's much more difficult because they're not trying to fix something that's broken and you lack the vocabulary to tell them, but they can still figure it out by looking at the broken thing themselves. This is, they need to know what you want, and you still lack the vocabulary, so it's incredibly difficult to communicate.
And I can just imagine, well, I know how it is because Emily tells me all the time how frustrating it is to have to create something creative for someone who is unable to tell you what they want, and the only thing they can really say is, no, that's not it.
Yeah,
Neither
pretty
is
much
that.
All you can really do is just keep making stuff and try to, figure out, sort of inch your way closer to kind of what they want,
Well, from my perspective, and what we've learned, what I've
having to
learned,
do a lot more work than you'd have to do if they were able to accurately express their desires. However,
actually, I think the problem is a lot of people try to have too much influence over their creative
that is a problem that also happens.
Once we said, fuck it, you're an artist, make us something, we'll use it. And very quickly we got something. And once we just said, we're going to trust that person's judgment. Otherwise, why are we going to pay them?
Yeah.
We got something really good almost right away. And it wasn't what we pictured originally, but you know what?
We're not artists. We're not going to picture something good. That's why we want artists.
If I could picture something good.
If I could picture something good, I wouldn't need the artist, would I? All right. My thing of the day is just one photo. It's a photo of a trailer. And in front of this trailer, there are two signs. Well, there's three signs, but two of them are redundant. One of the signs says computer repair. And one of the signs says tomatoes. And I could see that being my sort of retirement there.
It's funny how we're so... I mean, you heard our Thursday show and the questions. We're ambitious, and we're constantly fighting for more and striving for more and making more money and doing more podcasts and becoming big and famous and blah, 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 and take over the world. And yet at the same time, we both almost envy the life of, have a little house out in the middle of nowhere and tend to the cattle.
Yeah, this is like the Zen of Scott is a trailer that says computer repair, tomatoes.
I can almost say that
Grow
would...
my tomatoes, fix computers.
That might be my perfect life. It's like if I could have a little computer repair shop and, I don't know, a little podcast.
Yeah, just...
Plus, Scott really likes
nice
growing
simple-
tomatoes, and he grows pretty good tomatoes.
Nice, simple. It's not up to you whether the tomatoes you grow are good or not. It's up to the plant.
It's up to you to a degree.
All you do is you take a dirt to tomato converting machine and you put it in the dirt.
No, because you have to make sure the machine is well oiled. I mean, what if the tomatoes start turning black? You got to give them some calcium. What if...
If that starts happening, you screwed up already. I mean, it's like it's either gonna work or it's not. You just put the pieces together and you wait. It's not like a...
Right, so we did last week, Questions Week, and of course we have another 4 to 5 hours of Questions Week to use as filler whenever we go out of town in the near future.
Some of it already recorded, some of it not.
Yeah, partly because I was tired and lazy, and Scott was also kind of tired and lazy.
Yep. But during the Questions Week, we got some questions that had such long answers to them, we could just use them as episode ideas instead of questions. So let's start that up, because we didn't have a lot of episode ideas coming up.
So someone asked us, what do you do? I mean, you're obviously technology guys. You know the business. When you make a brand new computer and you install Windows on it, but we're going to expand that to pretty much any operating system.
Yeah, we're going to do Windows, Linux, and OS X.
Yeah, I think we'll do those three.
Yep.
In that order.
For a desktop, not for a server.
Got a new computer. It's your home desktop. Yours. Not someone else's, not for your mom, but yours. All right. It's new. I've got the Windows CD. In what order, what do you do? What things do you do? What's the order you do them? It's kind of like when you move into a new house. Like, what do you unpack first?
All right.
The answer is the computer.
Okay, well, first let's say the things that are true for all the operating systems, right? The first thing is I get all the available updates, no matter what.
The BIOS.
The BIOS, but the operating system. We're talking about after you install the operating system.
All right,
here.
so I install Windows. I go to Windows Update.
Yep, I install Linux. I go to the update. OS X update. I update everything I can update, all the way to the maximum.
Now, not like special only the things that the operating system gives you. Like, For Windows, the first thing I do is go to Windows Update, install everything, reboot until there's nothing left to install. That my Windows is the most up-to-date it can be.
Yep, default Windows. No.
Now, I don't even install video card drivers or anything at this point. Just the bare minimum to boot Windows.
And the next thing is the video card driver, which you don't need to install on OS X, but you do need to install.
The only
Linux
exception is if you have a motherboard that requires motherboard drivers. I will often do that before I do
That's not really applicable anymore because if you update...
My current motherboard did not work properly in Windows XP. The USB didn't work for shit.
Even after updating the XP all the way?
Yeah, USB didn't work for crap. The hard drives were kind of okay, but not all the controllers worked. The Ethernet kind of worked, but not really. So I actually then installed the motherboard drivers.
That's weird. That's like a thing of the past, but I guess,
It depends on the motherboard.
Yeah, but you want to install your video card driver so you can set proper resolutions and get your 3Ds on and all that stuff. You know, even if you have just some sort of integrated video card, you're either going to have an NVIDIA or an ATI, most likely. And they have a driver, even if it's like the shittiest card in the universe. And you need that driver to get, the stuff to actually work better than the default Windows driver is going to do you for. Okay, so next. Because nowadays, back in the day, you'd actually have to install. I remember, even in 2000, 2001, if I had a fresh operating system, I had to install a lot of applications, a whole mess of them, because everything was desktop applications. And now, everything is web applications. I use Gmail, so I don't have to install any email clients. I use Google Calendar. I don't have to install any calendar stuff. I use Google Docs. I don't even need OpenOffice anymore, really. But can't use any of those things without...
Plus, games. I used to have to install all my games.
Now you just install Steam, right?
Yeah.
So if you're gonna, and on the other operating systems, you're not playing games.
So I'll say straight up, this is the exact order I install things at a new computer. It's Firefox, and then I make sure Firefox is updated.
Then an IM client, depending on OS.
Actually, and now I don't do that anymore.
Oh, really?
Now I just go and get all my Firefox extensions, and then I just use Gmail and the embedded thing because I don't chat so much anymore.
The embedded thing, is okay when I need it, but I use the same, Google Chat, with the domains thing, but I use Copete on Linux.
I'd use Adium if I could, because Adium is the best thing
Adium.
ever. I don't know. I don't care. It's the duck. The green duck.
The duck, but the duck is only on OS X. You can't get the duck on the other operating systems.
Damn.
And in Windows, I actually can't. There's no more good IM client for Windows. I mean, there's Pigeon, formerly known as GAIM, but it's not really as good as Copete or Adium. It's kind of crummy.
Yeah, and part of that too is I chat when I'm away from home. When I'm at home, I'm usually too busy to chat except on weekends, and I don't chat the way I used to. I use forums and kind of time-shifted communication instead of real-time communication.
Yep. Do you want to go through, I know we did a whole show on Firefox extensions, but I'm sure it's changed since that time. Do you want to just list the ones you use?
I installed something to put things in Delicious, which is pretty much just for Geeknights.
I use the Delicious tag, the buttons, not the full Delicious extension, just the regular, the one that adds 2 buttons.
I install AdBlock and the filter set G.
I use AdBlock Plus, which comes with its own filter set subscription stuff. I don't need the filter set G.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Sometimes I do it manually, but the key is AdBlock.
AdBlock Plus.
And beyond that, I don't use much. I install Farkit because I am still a Farker, tried and true.
I install Google Browser Sync, which is what I use to keep my bookmarks synchronized between my desktop, my work computer, and my laptop.
If I had a laptop, I would also do that. But because I do not have a laptop, I don't bother.
What about your home and your work?
At work, I don't bookmark things. The only thing I go to at work is, I don't read webcomics or anything there. I do it at home. The only thing I do at work is, check my email.
I check all my sites and all my places. So
I just don't. I have an RSS feed that I look at the titles for.
Yeah, I'm looking at my Google Reader at work.
Plus, to be perfectly honest, my new job, I don't think I'm going to be just surfing around the internet because I think I'm going to be doing fun work, actually enjoyable work.
Then I install Firebug and Web Developer Toolbar, which are for developing web stuff. So if you're not web developing, you don't need that shit.
Yeah, I installed that when I was that kind of stuff at RIT, but I don't do web development anymore. That's kind of Scott's job.
If you're JavaScripting and CSSing and HTMLing, you need that shit. Otherwise, you don't need that shit.
Yeah, that is now Scott's job in the Geeknights family. I work on other things.
So other than that, what else do we install here?
Pretty much nothing anymore. I install Steam. I get it going.
I got to install the Flash plugin. I got to install Acrobat Reader, and
Yeah,
for all
but-
those people who are like, they use some other PDF reader, that's fine. I still actually like Acrobat Reader, especially the newest versions, actually not
You know
bad.
why I didn't think of those? For all that stuff, to be honest, I don't even think about them until I go to a website or I download a PDF and it's like, you can't look at this. I'm like, oh, and then I install it because it
Yep.
takes a second.
Yep.
After all that, I install Winamp.
I don't use Winamp.
Or if I use iTunes. Because in Windows, one, I don't listen to music in Windows anymore. But if I did, I'll install Winamp. But
Yeah.
nowadays, since all my music is in Linux on a riser partition by itself, I don't even bother. I don't even have Winamp. I have no way to play MP3s except a Windows Media Player, which doesn't matter because I'm only in Windows to play Steam games.
Yeah, in Windows, I have iTunes. I don't really use it. I use the iTunes downstairs, but that's only for podcasting. In Linux, I use Amarok for my stuff. And the thing is, I use all these KDE applications like Amarok and Copeat, but I don't use KDE.
In Linux, I use not WinMX.
XMMS?
XMMS.
You should
and
use Audacious. It's the
kind
same
of
thing.
XMMS is kind of shitty. I just use it because I don't care.
Use Audacious or something. What's the other? You could use like Beat Media Player, BMPX, I guess it's called now.
Yeah, I just haven't bothered because I listen to most of my music on my iPod and not in my room anymore.
Yep. I also install NuCache, which is available for Windows and Linux to manage my finances, which I store on a thumb drive.
I might start doing that. The only reason I didn't is that it's always been my philosophy, once I had money, was that I will spend all the money that I'm going to spend and get everything that I want that is reasonable.
I still do that.
Yeah.
I just keep track of it.
And as long as I know that if I ran out of money, that means something's wrong, and I don't run out of money, so nothing's wrong. It's not like keeping track of my money would never have made me say maybe I should spend less money.
No, I don't look at my finances or accounting and make decisions like, oh, I should spend less money. I'm spending too much already. I don't even think about it. I just keep track. That's all. I just keep track.
Yeah,
Just,
I used to. Now that I make a lot of money, I probably will again.
Yeah. Plus, I can go and see like how close my student loans are to being paid off. And
Well,
stuff
see,
like
that's
that.
the thing. I have no debt really anymore.
But keep track of my credit card.
My credit card just paid off every month.
I know mine is too, but I just keep track. I also use numeric because what happens if you try to open up like a spreadsheet and it tries to open up in OpenOffice? OpenOffice is slow to open, even on like my solid state hard drive laptop, even on my dual core at work, right? So I use numeric, which is a spreadsheet that opens faster and is better.
But yeah, I'm honestly in Windows. That's pretty much it.
Oh wait, no. In Windows, there are two other things I install. I install PuTTY and WinSCP so that I can SSH and SCP.
I often will install Launchy if I'm going to use the computer a lot.
Oh yeah, if I'm using I'll use Launchy.
And Cygwin because I want to have just a thing.
Actually, I'm tired of Cygwin. With WinSCP and PuTTY are enough for me because I just SSH to another machine and use that. Screw the Cygwin, which is all.
Well, I
crazy.
use Cygwin mostly for other stuff, like just writing bash scripts if I happen to be in Windows and I need to write a bash script for something or...
Oh, I guess.
Yeah. And when I was learning Python, I just installed Python in Cygwin and was using that.
Yeah, but you can just use. You don't even need Cygwin to learn Python on Windows.
Yeah. I had Cygwin anyway.
Yeah.
But see, I don't have any real important... Like, there's no other applications that matter to me.
Yeah, I think that's the point, is that back in the day, right, you'd be installing your WinAmps and your WinZips, and
I'd go to all the shareware sites and get, like, all the little utilities I use.
I'd be getting, like, different video players and audio players, and I'd have to install, like, 6 or 7 different plugins instead of just MPlayer. I'd have to go and install, like, Real Player, QuickTime, Windows Media Player, Flash, blah, 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 a million things all over the place, and now... the desktop matters less and less and less, and this is what has allowed Linux and Mac to sort of come up on Windows, is because Windows was the king because your desktop applications were what mattered, and that's what you used most of the time, and they ran on Windows, and that was it, and you used another operating system. You didn't have desktop applications. You had nothing. Now, it's all web applications. It doesn't matter what the hell you use. It's got a web browser. You're good to go. I mean, you could use a Wii. If I was stuck with just the Wii, it would suck because the interface is kind of but I could live. I mean, I could do all my stuff with just the Wii. Plus, now that it has USB keyboard support. Awesome.
So Linux is kind of a slightly different world because of package repositories in terms of what I install.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, and also the fact that there aren't usually as many updates.
I guess it's just that you do the updates once, like whoosh.
Yeah, and it just works. I don't worry about it. But after I update a Linux box, I install my podcast crap, but that's just because I'm a podcaster. You guys can ignore that. I don't install a lot. it's kind of like on the Linux box when I make a new one, I spend most of my time configuring my desktop because Windows, you get something. In Linux, I move stuff around. I make it like my perfect desktop, and I spend a lot of time.
Oh yeah, I go through every single preferences option. I make sure I go to the Firefox preferences,
Yeah.
and I make sure to set everything because the defaults are not what I want.
But in Windows, other than making every window list, and I get rid of all that sidebar crap, and I make it don't hide system files, don't hide hidden files, don't hide extensions from me, and all that. Other than that, I don't fiddle with the Windows much, but Linux, I fiddle with everything for like 4 hours.
Maybe not for 4 hours, but
I fiddle, and I make everything perfect. And then I really just install applications on an as-needed basis. Like I'm sitting there and I think, I want to do X. Oh, I don't have X. A lot of times with the new Linux box, I'll type a command and it won't go, and I'll be like, oh.
There's
and then I install
actually
it.
a cool feature that came in Feisty again. If let's say you have a new Linux box, right? It doesn't have Vim, and well, I guess it does have basic Vim, but it doesn't have like GVim, right? And if you want to have real Vim, you got to install it. So let's say you got a new Feisty fresh install. You type GVim. It'll say, yeah, we don't got GVim installed. Type this to install it. And
That's hot.
Yeah, you could type in like any command, and if it's a command that's real and it knows about this command, but the package you need to actually run that command is not installed, it'll tell you. Like if you type lame, like here, let me do it right now on my Gutsy here on my laptop. Lame. The program lame is currently not installed. You can install it by typing sudo apt-get install lame.
Now, just the ramifications of this, that kind of this on-demand application installation coupled with the desktop thing, I don't even think about what applications I use.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
not
kind
even
of-
like Windows where, oh, I need an application. Go out, search the web, find an exe somewhere. It's just type this, and the program will be installed. And let's see how long it takes. Here.
And thus we can get into OS 10, which is even a different ballgame because I turn it on and it's got almost everything I need.
Except a lot of the stuff is kind of crummy.
Yeah.
At least the iLife stuff.
Yeah, we're not like graphic designers. We don't use all the Photoshoppy things, so the Mac just does all the basic stuff automatically. I go install Firefox, and I go and, the same kind of thing I do with Windows. I install Firefox,
Yeah.
I install the Duck, I install Chicken of the VNC, because that has the best icon of any open source
yeah.
program in the history of the world.
I installed the X-Tight VNC viewer on anything that doesn't allow Chicken of the VNC.
Chicken of the VNC. It's so great.
It is pretty great. What else is there?
I don't know. Other than that, it's weird how OS 10, despite being, kind of Linux-based,
Unix-based. It's Unix.
I do it the same way I do Windows, where I go out and get applications and install them.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
you can go out, get and install Fink, and then use Fink to install things, in the Unix style. But a lot of those things are they work sort of behind the scenes down in like it's weird. OS X feels like it has this dark underworld to it. It's like on the surface, it's the shiny, easy to use OS. It doesn't give you all the options of a power OS like Windows or Linux, but it does everything most normal people need to do. And for anyone who's not a power user, it's beyond awesome for them because it keeps everything they don't care about out of their way, and it works. But if you can actually get down to business with it, but it's all hidden down under. Like you start getting in with Fink, you got these terminals opening up, and you got this X Windows thing going, and it's starting to do all this weird undercover stuff, and things start to get funky. And that's the part I don't like because I need to do that stuff, and it sort of gets in my way because it does sort of treat that stuff as like a second-class citizen to the shiny front stuff. So that's in Linux, everything is an equal citizen in a way, and it's a smooth experience no matter what application you're using. It's not like, yeah, you got this weird X window thing coming you got to configure separately, and yeah, this application starts that application, and how much trouble did we have trying to get that Challenge Run Fire thing to work on the Mac? And
Yeah, but it looked so good once we got it to run.
yeah, I realized doing that, why things on the Mac look so good, and it's because if you just write an application, just a blah application that say pops a window up, right? The libraries on OS X are actually written to make it look nice. The individual programmers who write applications don't have to do anything extra to make stuff look good in the Apple way. And that's why everything looks awesome. Because stuff by default, like you could take an application that's, ready to run on every OS, like a cross-platform app, run it on Windows, run Linux, run on OS X. On OS X, it looked great because it just, the command that says open window. On Linux, it just opens a window. On OS X, it like fades in a window with the right decorations on it and everything.
Yep, to the point that now when we do shows, we actually bring the Mac with us. Because it's a better displayer of things than any laptop we own.
Plus, it's really small.
Yeah, it is. And especially, it's actually smaller and easier to deal with than a laptop because we don't need a screen for it. We're going to plug it into a projector. We just plop it down, plug it in, turn it on.
Yeah, the problem is the mouse and keyboard action for it. We solved the keyboard part.
Yeah, now we just have to solve the mouse problem.
We
need just a nice Bluetooth mouse.
But the only one that they have for Mac is that Mighty Mouse, which sucks.
Yeah.
So I need a Bluetooth mouse that'll work with a Mac that's not the Mighty Mouse.
But see, this question would have been a lot more relevant, I don't know, 5 years ago than it is now, because now I almost feel like for a techie, what I do with the process of setting up a new computer has gotten easier and easier and easier.
Yeah, and it's sort of gotten less meaningful in a way, because that's like I reinstalled when Gutsy came out. I did fresh installs. I mean, back in the day, if you did a fresh install of Windows, that meant you're gonna have to spend a couple days before you were back, up to full efficiency.
Yep.
I'm at full efficiency with a fresh install of freaking any Linux, like even Dapper Drake. I'm at full efficiency. It doesn't really matter.
And even Windows, I'm there right away because the only things I need to download or get are pretty much things like Steam and drivers. I mean, I already use OpenOffice.
Yeah, I install Firefox. Good to go. I'm done. Any machine, any computer with Firefox on it, I'm at 100%. I feel like I can do some tweaks here and there to make it a little bit better, which I do on all my machines.
Firefox is effectively our operating system.
Effectively. I mean, there were people thinking about making, just disks you would just boot and it's Firefox and that's it. And I don't see that's such a bad idea, especially not in the future.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting there. All right. Is there anything else to say here?
I don't know. I think that's it. We went long every night last week, so I don't feel bad about not going long tonight. And I'm getting kind of hungry.
Good. Let's go eat and watch stuff.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Odeo on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.